For years, we believed that the Dursleys treated Harry horribly simply because they were mean, small-minded people who hated magic. But what if there was a deeper reason behind their behavior? Some fans believe that it wasn't just about fear or jealousy. It was something much darker. According to one theory, the Dursleys were being influenced by a powerful dark magic, and they didn't even know it. The theory goes like this. Harry was an unintentional Horcrux. A piece of Voldemort's soul lived inside him from the moment that fatal curse rebounded. And Horcruxes have a dangerous effect on people. Remember how the locket Horcrux made Ron paranoid and angry in the Deathly Hallows? It brought out the worst in people. Now, imagine the Dursleys living with a Horcrux for over 10 years, day and night. Their growing hatred for Harry might not have just been personal. It could have been magical. Petunia and Vernon weren't strong enough to resist the dark influence coming from Harry. They didn't know why, but his presence made them uncomfortable, angry, even hateful. Their cruelty wasn't just cruelty. It may have been fear. Petunia had once loved her sister Lily. She had wanted to be part of the magical world. But when Lily was chosen and she wasn't, something broke in her. Later, when she was forced to take in Harry, that bitterness only grew, especially with the added weight of the Horcrux's influence. Maybe they locked Harry in the cupboard, not just because they hated him, but because being near him twisted something inside them. So, were the Dursleys simply terrible people, or were they just another set of victims? Ordinary humans slowly poisoned by a piece of Voldemort's soul. At first glance, Crookshanks seems like nothing more than Hermione's grumpy, flat-faced pet cat. But many fans believe Crookshanks may not be an ordinary feline at all. In fact, there's a theory that he had a mysterious past and might have once belonged to someone very close to Harry. Let's start with the basics. Crookshanks isn't a full cat. According to J.K. Rowling, he's part Kneazle, a magical creature known for its intelligence and ability to detect untrustworthy people. That explains why Crookshanks immediately disliked Scabbers, who was actually Peter Pettigrew in disguise. He even helped Sirius Black by stealing passwords and trying to expose Wormtail. But what really caught fans' attention is a small detail from The Prisoner of Azkaban. When Sirius Black sees Crookshanks, he isn't surprised. In fact, it almost seems like he knows the cat, and some believe he actually does. Here's the theory. Crookshanks used to belong to the Potters. The idea is that Crookshanks lived at Godric's Hollow with James and Lily before Voldemort's attack. After the Potters' deaths, he ended up at the magical menagerie in Diagon Alley, waiting for someone who could be trusted. That would explain why Crookshanks warmed up so quickly to Sirius, even before anyone knew who he really was. It also explains why he was so aggressive toward Scabbers, because he had seen him betray the Potters once before. If this theory is true, Crookshanks wasn't just Hermione's pet. He was a silent protector, a creature with memories of the past. And for all we know, he might have known the truth about Peter Pettigrew long before any of the humans figured it out. So next time you see that orange furball lounging in the common room, remember, he might be carrying secrets from the First Wizarding War. Dumbledore is often seen as a wise and kind headmaster who guided Harry through his years at Hogwarts. But some fans believe there's a much darker side to him, one that suggests Dumbledore may have known Harry would have to die all along, and let it happen. Let's break it down. From the very beginning, Dumbledore knew that Harry was a Horcrux. He even admits it in The Half-Blood Prince, saying that Voldemort unknowingly transferred part of his soul into Harry. But here's the chilling part. If Dumbledore knew that, he must have also known that the only way to destroy that part of Voldemort was for Harry to die. So why didn't he tell Harry the truth? Why did he let him grow up believing he might survive? Some fans think Dumbledore was carefully shaping Harry into a willing sacrifice. He made sure Harry experienced pain, loss, and struggle, but always just enough to keep him going. He didn't stop Harry from facing danger, he pushed him toward it. And when the time was right, he let Harry discover the truth on his own. In the Forbidden Forest, just before Voldemort killed him. It's a heartbreaking theory, but it makes sense. Dumbledore was a master chess player, always thinking many moves ahead. He may have seen Harry as the one piece that could end the game. And to do that, he had to fall. To some, this makes Dumbledore a genius strategist. To others, it makes him cold and calculating. Was he protecting the wizarding world? Or was he using a boy to finish a war he couldn't end himself? This fan theory is one of the strangest and yet oddly fascinating ideas in the Harry Potter universe. It suggests that Ron Weasley and Albus Dumbledore are the same person. Not figuratively, but literally. According to this theory, Dumbledore is a time-traveling Ron from the future who came back to guide Harry and change the course of history. At first, it sounds crazy, but the theory is based on a few curious similarities. For one, both Ron and Dumbledore are tall, red-haired, and have long noses. They're both fond of sweets. Dumbledore loves sherbet lemons, while Ron is always snacking. Both characters also share a strong loyalty to Harry and a deep hatred for the dark arts. But it gets weirder. In The Prisoner of Azkaban, we learn about time turners, devices that allow witches and wizards to travel through time. If time travel is possible in the wizarding world, who's to say someone like Ron couldn't have used one in the future and taken on a new identity to make sure events unfolded correctly? Supporters of the theory also point to Dumbledore's strange behavior. He always seems to know exactly what Harry and his friends are doing, even before they tell him, and he trusts them in ways no other adult does. It's as if he remembers being them. Of course, J.K. Rowling has never confirmed this theory, and most fans see it as far-fetched. But even so, it makes you think, what if Ron grew up, saw the world fall apart, and became the very person who helped prevent it by guiding his younger self and best friend? Was Dumbledore simply wise beyond his years? Or was he someone who had already lived those years once before? Severus Snape is one of the most complex and mysterious characters in the entire Harry Potter universe. For most of the series, he's portrayed as cold, cruel, and deeply bitter. But everything changed when we learned the truth. Snape had loved Lily Potter, Harry's mother, since childhood. This revelation shocked fans and transformed Snape from a villain to something closer to a tragic hero. But what if there's more to that story than we're told? What if Snape's love wasn't just unrequited, but dangerously obsessive? Let's go back to their childhood. Snape and Lily met as kids, long before Hogwarts. He introduced her to the wizarding world, and they were inseparable for a time. But as they grew older, Snape became involved with the dark arts, while Lily distanced herself. Even after she started dating James Potter, Snape couldn't let go. His feelings ran deep and dark. The turning point came when Snape called Lily a mudblood during an argument. It was a cruel insult, and Lily cut ties with him. But even then, Snape didn't stop caring about her. Years later, when he realized Voldemort was going to kill her, he begged Dumbledore to protect her, offering his loyalty in return. This is where the theory begins to twist. Some fans believe Snape's devotion wasn't love in the purest sense. It was obsession. He wasn't just protecting Harry because he cared about Lily's memory. He was trying to possess the only piece of Lily left in the world, her son. And maybe, just maybe, that's why he hated Harry so much. Because Harry looked like James, the man Lily chose over him. But he had Lily's eyes, a constant reminder of what Snape lost and what he could never have. Snape's actions throughout the series support both sides. He protects Harry, but he's cruel to him. He risks his life, but also makes Harry's miserable. Is that love or a painful mix of guilt, anger, and obsession? Some believe Snape's Patronus, also a doe like Lily's, is a symbol of his everlasting love. Others argue it's proof that he never moved on, even decades later, that he was stuck in the past, chasing a ghost that had long since disappeared. So, was Snape a tragic hero, sacrificing everything for love? Or a man consumed by obsession, willing to risk a child's life for a woman who didn't love him back? By the end of the series, Harry Potter has survived a killing curse, returned from the dead, and defeated the most feared dark wizard of all time. But some fans believe he accomplished something even greater, something that was never openly declared but deeply symbolic. Harry Potter became the true master of death. To understand this theory, we need to revisit the legend of the Deathly Hallows. As told in the tales of Beedle the Bard, 3 brothers were given powerful magical objects by Death himself: the Elder Wand, the Resurrection Stone, and the Invisibility Cloak. Together, these 3 items supposedly make the owner the master of death, not through immortality, but by accepting death without fear. Now let's look at Harry. By the end of Deathly Hallows, he has used all 3 Hallows. He possesses the Elder Wand, which he wins from Draco Malfoy after disarming him. He inherits the Invisibility Cloak, passed down from his father, a direct descendant of Ignotus Peverell, the brother who originally received it. And he briefly holds the Resurrection Stone, hidden inside the golden snitch left to him by Dumbledore. In the Forbidden Forest, Harry uses the stone to speak to his dead loved ones before facing Voldemort, willingly walking to his death. This moment is key. Harry doesn't try to cheat death. He accepts it, ready to sacrifice himself to save everyone else. And in doing so, he mirrors the one brother from the legend who greeted death like an old friend. That brother, Ignotus, was said to be the wisest. He lived a full life, used his cloak to evade death until he was ready, and met his end with peace, not fear. Unlike Voldemort, who sought immortality through Horcruxes and domination, Harry never tried to run from death. He faced it, understood it, and let go. That's why he lived. That's why he won. In the end, Harry breaks the Elder Wand, drops the Resurrection Stone, and only keeps the Invisibility Cloak. He refuses power. He refuses to bring back the dead, and he lives a quiet life with his family. It's a powerful message. True mastery of death isn't about defeating it. It's about understanding and accepting it. So, did Harry become the master of death? Not by conquering death, but by embracing it. For years, fans have debated one troubling question. Why were the Dursleys so unbelievably cruel to Harry Potter? Yes, Petunia was jealous of her magical sister Lily, and Vernon feared anything out of the ordinary, but their hatred of Harry often felt over the top. Locking. A child in a cupboard, starving him, treating him like a burden. It went beyond petty resentment. It felt unnatural. And that's where this dark theory comes in. Some fans believe the Dursleys were not entirely acting of their own free will. Instead, they might have been affected by the lingering magic of a Horcrux. Because here's the thing. Harry was a Horcrux, even if unintentionally. A piece of Voldemort's soul was inside him from infancy, and Horcruxes are known to influence the emotions and behavior of those around them. We see this clearly in the Deathly Hallows, when Ron becomes increasingly bitter and paranoid while wearing the Horcrux locket. Even kind-hearted Hermione starts to break down under its influence. If a small object like a locket can do that, imagine what living day and night with a human Horcrux might do, especially to people who already resented magic. The Dursleys lived with Harry for 11 years, constantly in close contact with that fragment of Voldemort's soul. It's possible that the Horcrux didn't just affect their emotions, it amplified their worst traits. Petunia's jealousy, Vernon's fear, Dudley's bullying, all could have been intensified by the dark energy radiating from Harry. This theory doesn't excuse their behavior, but it might explain it. Maybe the Dursleys were victims of Voldemort's magic too, unknowingly poisoned by the very darkness they feared. Perhaps if Harry had never been a Horcrux, they wouldn't have treated him so cruelly. Perhaps they were just ordinary people, pushed to ugliness by an invisible force. And maybe, in a twisted way, Harry suffered not just for being the boy who lived, but for being the boy who unknowingly carried a piece of pure evil into an ordinary suburban home. The idea of immortality has always been a driving force for dark wizards, and in Harry Potter, Voldemort's obsession with creating Horcruxes was central to his quest for eternal life. But where did the idea of splitting one's soul to preserve it come from? What if this dark magic had existed long before Voldemort, buried in the ancient wizarding world? And what if the first to practice it was not Voldemort, but an even darker figure from the past? The ancient roots of Horcrux magic, the dark arts, and lost magical knowledge. Horcruxes were long considered a form of dark magic, so forbidden that even the most dangerous wizards dared not speak of it. Ancient texts like the Book of the Dead, an obscure reference found in magical archives, may have hinted at a time when dark magic users sought immortality through a literal ripping of their soul. The origins of this magic might trace back to a time before even Salazar Slytherin, perhaps linked to the founders of the magical world themselves, or even earlier, to the first wizards who unlocked these forbidden powers. A pre-Voldemort legend. Could there have been a wizard before Voldemort, possibly from a different, forgotten era of wizarding history, who first experimented with the Horcrux method? Legends suggest that Nergal, a dark wizard from the Middle Ages, had begun experiments that were eerily similar to those of Voldemort, but his research was lost. Some scholars claim that the creation of a Horcrux was not just about creating immortality, but was connected to a mystical connection with the void, a force of magic beyond death. The forbidden nature of Horcruxes magic. Beyond mortal understanding. The process of creating a Horcrux involves the ultimate corruption of a wizard's soul, splitting it into pieces and storing them within objects. But why does it work? Was it designed to be more than just a simple means of immortality? Some theorists propose that the act of splitting one's soul wasn't just a form of magical preservation, but rather a ritual to tap into a darker realm, a place where souls could be bound for eternity, drawing energy and power from beyond the known world. The influence of dark gods or entities. Could the creation of Horcruxes be tied to ancient forbidden gods or magical entities that existed before the Ministry's rise? Some speculate that the first wizards who created Horcruxes may have been dabbling in powers that were beyond their understanding, trying to make a pact with dark forces to gain immortality. It's possible that the magic used to make Horcruxes might have been bestowed by entities whose influence was buried by the wizarding community to prevent further catastrophe. Voldemort's obsession and the mistake of underestimating ancient forces. Voldemort's naivety. Voldemort, brilliant and ruthless though he was, failed to understand the full depth of the Horcrux magic. While his main objective was immortality, there's a growing theory that Voldemort unwittingly opened doors to an even darker force. Rather than simply preserving his soul in fragments, he may have unleashed something far darker by creating a Horcrux with so many pieces of his soul. Harry Potter, an unintended vessel. The connection between Harry and Voldemort goes beyond the prophecy. What if Harry, the accidental Horcrux, was not just a victim of Voldemort's dark magic, but was drawn into a far older magical ritual, something beyond Voldemort's own understanding? Some theorists argue that the prophecy was just a vehicle for the forces at play, and Harry's destiny was always intertwined with these older, forbidden forces. The legacy of Horcruxes, and the fall of great wizards. Every wizard who, used Horcruxes left behind a shadow, a whisper of their evil deeds. From the infamous Tom Riddle's diary to the most well-hidden of objects, Each Horcrux bore the weight of the wizard's sins. The act of creating a Horcrux might not just preserve the soul, but mark the wizard for damnation, forever linked to a deeper, darker magic. The horror of immortality. The use of Horcruxes is a stark warning about the price of immortality. Even though Voldemort succeeded in his quest to survive beyond death, he became a hollow shell of himself, devoid of the humanity he once had. Was immortality ever meant to be so hollow and empty? Perhaps this dark magic was never intended for wizards at all. Perhaps it was a curse placed upon the world by forces far beyond their control.